This podcast is for SEO professionals, and each week, with the help of our wonderful guests, we discuss the important stuff that actually affects our careers and progression, but sadly often doesn't get talked about. You know, the invaluable soft and interpersonal skills that are often taken for granted, such as the skills we need for listening, time management, communication, and more. We also talk about the big issues that affect us and our careers, such as burnout, imposter syndrome, self-belief, saying no, plus other big issues and obstacles. With this podcast, we want to share knowledge on topics that unlock our listeners' true potential and enhance not only their careers, but all parts of their lives. So, are you ready to prioritize your own personal growth and career development? Then let's crack on with this week's episode.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the SEO Mindset podcast, where your hosts are Sarah McDowell and myself, Tazmin Solomon. We have podcast episodes going out every Thursday, and today you have just me, Tazmin, and I'll be going back into the what's the word I'm looking for? The archive. That's the word I'm looking for. The archive of our previous episodes, and one that I think is really relevant at the time. I'll tell you why in a minute. But I'll also be adding additional insights into that topic. And the topic is job hunting. Why do I say it's relevant? Because we've got to that time of the year where people are searching for their new role. You know, conferences are happening. And I've been having a lot of conversations about job hunting. So the backstory of this episode is a few people have reached out to me because they're looking for their next role, and what they tend to do, and what most people tend to do is, I want a new role. I'm just going to dive into what's available, what are the jobs that are currently on the market, and applying for them. And it's true of these conversations, it's true for many of my clients. But the thing is usually you seek a new role if you are either unhappy in your current one, the toxic environment perhaps, or there's no career progression happening, or maybe you've been told that you've been made redundant or have been made redundant. And in that situation, your mindset can be in a certain space, and therefore just going head on applying for what's out there might not always be the best answer. So today I want to give you 5 tips on how to shift your mindset from that very reactive scenario that I talked about to something more proactive. So tip number 1 is be grateful for what you already have. Now, if you are eye-rolling me right now, just hear me out. Thing is, the more grateful you are, the happier you'll feel. The happier you feel, the better decisions you will make. So if you are job hunting in a place of, scarcity, or you really feel like, I really need to get a job, that's not going to be, in a grateful place. So have a look at what you currently have. Maybe it is a friend circle that are really cheering you on. Maybe it is a family who is really supportive. Maybe it is a great education that you have, or resources that you have available to you. So if you can get into that state of, I am in a good place and I'm looking for a new job, you will make decisions better for you. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is analyze the previous roles that you have had. Which ones did you enjoy? Which ones did you not enjoy? Why did you either enjoy them or not enjoy them? What sort of things in those roles did you do that really aligned with who you were? Which sort of things did you do that didn't? All of this will really help you pick the next best job that is good for you. So analyze your previous roles is tip number 2. Tip number 3 is list your skills, and do not be shy at this point. Yes, this step is to make you feel good, but it's also taking stock of what you have to offer. Because if you know what you know how to do, what you have learned, and one of the skills could be I'm really good at learning new things, or I can pick up new skills quickly. I get to know people quickly. Even those are skills. I'm good at having conversations. And then also list your more technical skills, but assessing what you have to offer your next role is a really good place to be. And knowing which skills you do not really want to use is also a good place to be. All right. Tip number 4. Go through the people you know. So, who is in your network that you can turn to? This isn't necessarily to find your next job. It could be who are going to be my cheerleaders, who's going to help me with career advice, who's going to help me with interview prep. People who care for you will want to help you. So don't try to do this whole journey on your own. You don't have to. And the last tip is take this as an opportunity. And I speak from experience that sometimes that can feel really hard, but the reality is it's true. Who do you really want to work with? What are the roles that you've always wanted to do? Find connections, have conversations, learn new things, take it as an opportunity to make that next role for you a step in the right direction. You might not find the role that you are seeking right now, but the more awareness you have of what you want, the more chance you are going to have of getting it. So those are 5 very simple things that can really help you shift your mindset from being in scarcity to feeling really abundant, and it will energize you. So now let's listen to this podcast episode that we recorded sort of maybe a year ago, and it's called Thinking Like an Entrepreneur Even If You Are Employed, and it will give you further steps on how to really make that job hunting. I don't know if I like that word, job hunting, that phrase, but looking for your next role as enjoyable and proactive as possible. Thank you, everyone. Hi, Tazmin here. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Be more visible, earn more, but also take care of your well-being and have work-life harmony? Well, I can help you because I'm offering you a free 30-minute consultancy call. Together we can go through where you want to be and how to get there. Simply click on the link in the show notes, fill in a form, and I'll get back to you.
Sarah here.
And me, Tazmin.
And don't forget me, Jack.
So, gang, what are we all doing here?
Jack, why don't you do the honours?
What an honour. Thank you so much. Drum roll, please.
Sorry, we don't have that sound effect, and unfortunately, my skills just don't stretch that far.
Fair enough. Maybe next time. But we do have some very, very exciting news for you all, because not 1, not 2, but 3 successful live podcasts. We are back once again. Search with Candour and the SEO Mindset podcast are teaming up again to record a podcast in front of a live audience.
Yes, that's right. And I am very excited. So join us for a raw and authentic conversation about career planning, but without the overwhelm. We'll be sharing practical advice, tips, plus our own personal experiences.
I am so excited, and this is all free to attend. There's going to be pizza, snacks and drinks included. Again, free. It's happening the night before Brighton SEO. We're starting at 7 on Wednesday, the 2nd of October. Tickets are now up for grabs, and last time we sold out. Well, technically we sold out twice. So if you are interested in joining us, please, please, please grab your tickets now before they all go.
And help us spread the word as well. If you or your colleagues or your friends are going to be in Brighton or attending Brighton SEO coming up in October, the more the merrier. Please all come along and join us.
We'll pop a link in the show notes so you can get more information and grab your tickets. We look forward to seeing you on the night.
Hello, Tazmin.
Hello, Sarah. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How about yourself?
Good. I too struggle with the word entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great because I'll be saying it a lot in the next few minutes. But
It's a silly word, isn't it?
I know. Who came up with that? I say business person. Maybe? I don't know. But I'm really excited about talking about this topic. I had a slide on it at one of the Search London events in the presentation. And it got a lot of feedback, a lot of discussions going from it. And I thought, let's turn it into a podcast.
Nice.
So the idea is whether you are working in-house, whether you're working for an agency, whatever job you have, that even if it is employed by somebody, always think of yourself as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
What are your first thoughts when you hear that, Sarah?
So obviously I can't wait to hear why, because I've never thought about this. So obviously, I struggle with the word entrepreneur just because I think it's a valid word and it's a valid term and a valid label, but I kind of struggle with it a little bit because I think it's a bit overused. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm putting that aside. And yeah, it is a valid word, valid label. But also, so I obviously think of myself as an entrepreneur because I have my side hustles, right? Yeah. So obviously this podcast, there's other bits and bobs, the live podcast, that people should know about. And yeah, there's different side hustles that I've got going on where I think of myself as an entrepreneur, but I never would have thought to think about me doing that in my job, my employed 9 to 5.
So the idea is that you think of yourself as your own business, your own entrepreneur, your own business, and you are then proactive about how your career is shaped. Often, and I know that I did this for most of my working life, whatever goals I had in my development plan were the goals that the manager set for me, which were the goals that the business wanted. And I'm not saying disregard that, but within that, if you have an idea that, you know what, I really want to do more public speaking, or I really want to learn more about strategy, or run team events, if you take a step back and think, how do I want my career to be shaped? And then have those conversations with your manager, you're probably going to get more of a career than you actually would do if you left it to the other person to figure it out for you. So
yes, 100%.
Yeah. So I would say the first part of thinking of yourself as a brand, as an entrepreneur, as your own business, is mindset. So be proactive, as we just mentioned. Sit and think about what is it that you want and vocalize it. And having led teams myself, if somebody said to me, you know what, I really want to get better at this, or I really want to learn this skill. So it's not just about what you want to do. It could be, I want to learn more about Excel, or I want to learn more about this or more about that. Whatever it is, I'd be really happy. They're great. They're thinking about it.
Yeah.
The other mindset part of it is be comfortable with change. So often when we're at work, the change that happens in our career is something that we are reacting to. The business changes or the team changes. But what about you being comfortable with change and saying, I want to be able to go to, if you're working for a bigger organization, I really want to go into that team over there. And I know it's very different from where I am now, but being willing to do that. And alongside that, being willing to take risks.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I feel at work, it gets too comfortable too quick. And again, when the change happens, it's not because we want it to happen. And you can go into that cycle of, a month becomes a year, becomes a decade, and you're just trundling along rather than thinking, what do I want from my career? What do I want from my life?
100%.
Another part of mindset is be a solution finder. So again, if you want to move to another part of the business and it's so away from your skill set, rather than giving up, thinking, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to learn? Who do I need to go and talk to make this thing happen?
Yes. Yeah.
Which leads to the next part, which is being action orientated. Because often we can think and think and think, and we've talked recently about procrastination, and that happens when, often when we're scared, we're not sure how to take that step. But if we are focused on taking action, that's another mindset shift that really helps in this new way of thinking.
Yeah.
Be resilient. It's rare that you're just going to say to your manager, I want to get better at this and I want to learn this thing and want to go and work in that part of the business, and it's just all going to happen. You may interview and not be successful.
Yeah.
You may reach out to people and they don't respond. So being resilient and not being scared of failing. Because
we've got a whole episode about that as well, haven't we?
We have, just because it didn't work out this time, that doesn't mean that thing isn't for you. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be proactive. Pick yourself up, start again, take a step back and think about what it is that you want and find that way again.
100%.
So what do you think for that then? Mindset shift.
You've sold it to me. Where do I sign? No, joking aside, yeah, I completely get all those points that you've just made. And yeah, I think the biggest one for me is feeling challenged, right? And I think sometimes we blame our job, don't we? We're always like, the job isn't challenging enough, it's not pushing me and things like that, when sometimes you've got to be proactive, haven't you? You can't have things handed to you on the plate. You need to do stuff. And also you might, when you first start a job, you might have been more proactive with the new ideas, trying new stuff, all of this stuff, because when you're new to a role, you feel like you may have more to prove. But then after you've been in a role for a while and you've got a bit established, you might get into your, how you were saying, your safety. You do what you do and you don't push yourself and things like that. So having this shift of mindset, I love it. It helps. And all the other bits that you said as well, comfortable with change, being a solution finder, resilience, okay? Resilience is key because we get knocked down all the time. And you need to get back up and, okay, what can we learn? What can we do better? What can I learn and do differently next time?
Yeah. And if you find that you're complaining about something at work a lot, stop complaining and find a solution to make that situation better.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to get complacent, to start complaining. And then if you're in a pool of people who are complaining, that negativity really can drown you. So again, imagine that you're earning an income, you are a business. Is that where you want to be? Is that what you would call successful? Probably not. How are you going to find a way out of it?
Yeah.
So the next thing I want to lead into is take a step back and think, what is it that I want from my ideal job? Have some sort of, whether it's a strategy session with yourself, a vision session with yourself, or it could be with a buddy. It doesn't have to be on your own. And things to think about. What environment do you thrive in? Is it a big organization? Is it a startup? Is it something in the middle? Some people like being in a startup where they get to do lots of different things. Some people like to be in a bigger organization where they've got their area and that's what they do every day. What sort of working environment do you want? Do you want to be remote, in person, hybrid? Which works for you? What sort of role? Is it more of an operational role, or is it more abstract and more strategic role?
Yeah.
Do you want to manage a team?
Yeah.
Because often, this has been said time and time again, progression seems to be into management, and not just because you're brilliant at your task doesn't mean that you're going to be brilliant as a manager.
Because it's a different skill set altogether, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Organizational culture. Do you want to be in a very formal environment where, not necessarily suited and booted, but that there are organizations like ICAEW, for example, Institute of Charter Accountants. My husband used to work there. But it's, it's very disciplined, it's very structured, it's very slightly old school. Do you thrive in that sort of environment? Do you want a younger environment? So this isn't a comprehensive list, but once you start working through that, another one is, do you like working on your own on big projects? Do you want to be working as a team? Do you want to be working, what sort of relationship do you want with your manager? That's a really good one to know, because if you have a new manager, you can say, this is how I work best.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a great starting point, but as you start writing, you'll think of other things that you want to add as well. So like learning opportunities. Yeah.
Big one, yeah.
Yeah, like, is that important? Do you want to be developing? Do you want to be learning new stuff?
Yeah.
And then I think there might be also other things like perks as well. Like what's important for you there. Things like that. Structured. So obviously some places offer flexible working, whereas other places are more like structured depending on how a business is set up, right? Some businesses are like, right, you have to be and work in these hours. You might suit a more flexible approach, but then you might suit a more structured. So this is a great starting point, but as you're like writing it, you'll be thinking of more stuff that you can add, can't you?
Yeah. And think back to previous roles. Which ones have you enjoyed the most? Why did you enjoy them? Where did you learn
Why didn't you enjoy them?
Yeah, why didn't you enjoy them? Absolutely. And the values of the organisation, they may be, is there something that you're very passionate about? It could be environmental issues. It could be, whatever it is. For me, learning and development is really important, clearly, because that's what I do. So if I was working with another organisation and they too were passionate about it, there's a common ground there.
Yeah.
So the next thing I want to talk about, and you touched upon it just now, is once you've got this vision of what sort of role you want, what are you going to do, or what's it going to take for you to get there? And a lot of that will be learning. You may need to learn new skills. So rather than say, okay, I need to learn this stuff, it's very vague. And sometimes then it doesn't happen. It doesn't get done. It gets lost.
Yeah.
So think of it as like a term. You're going to give yourself a term, and you're going to study in this term what's on the curriculum, and literally build yourself a curriculum.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
What's the thing that I could learn next that's going to give me the best mileage into getting in that role that I want? So for me currently in the business, I'm learning about marketing because I've never really done marketing before. And I have a book list, and I have time set aside, and I have certain books on Audible. So currently in my curriculum, that's what it is. Next term, it may be something else. Last term, it was about business systems. So, go on.
I just thought of something that's that'd be really relevant for our audience. So obviously with Google Analytics, right? They are sunsetting Universal Analytics, okay, and you have to move towards GA4. So come away from the old style of Google Analytics and go on to their newer style, like GA4, if you're in this biz, you know, right? So yeah, that's important to me. Like I was just thinking of like something that was like really relevant to our audience.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know I said the dreaded GA4 because I know it worries some people.
Yeah.
But like get ahead of that with your curriculum, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, actually put time aside to learn that, because for me, I'm thinking, crikey, like Universal Analytics comes to an end 1st of July, and then data's gone. Do you know what I mean? So I've got 3 months to get clued up, get ahead. So yeah, just as a thought, just as an addition.
So then think about, what resources do you need to learn what you need to learn? How long is it going to take? In these next 3 months, do you want to go right down to the wire of 3 months, or do you want to get it done in 2? What would make you feel more comfortable? Could you buddy up with somebody who's also in the same boat?
Study group.
Study
you could have
group.
A little study group, accountability group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And break it down. So how much time is it going to take me to learn? How many weeks have I got left?
And I think as well, because GA4 is a quite chunky thing to learn, you've got like your different avenues and stuff. I think it's all about stages. So what is important for me to know before that 1st of July, and then what are the nice to haves? Like what can I then like develop and grow and like get more advanced? But yeah, what's the basics that I need to know? Yeah.
So yeah, my third suggestion to everyone who wants to adopt this way of thinking is build a curriculum. Literally block that time.
I love that. Yeah. Awesome. Look at the time.
I think it's time for a break. Let that all sit in your head, and when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about learning, but taking into like, do you get a mentor, do you get a coach, and a little bit more on planning and how you're going to get it done.
Lovely stuff. Hi, Sarah here. Just quickly reminding you of the ways that you can support the podcast. So if you enjoy what me and Tazmin are doing, there are a couple of ways that you can support us. We are set up on Buy Me a Coffee. That means that you can give us a one-off donation. If you fancy doing that, there's a link in the show notes, and we would be very, very appreciative of that. You can also sign up to our newsletter. So if you want to keep up to date with the latest, with what's going on, episodes, events, anything and everything that me, Tazmin, and the podcast are up to, you can do that by signing up to our newsletter, and you can unsubscribe at any time. This season is sponsored by Bright Local, the all-in-one local SEO platform that helps businesses and agencies drive traffic and leads from local search. It's the only platform that's 100% focused on helping you succeed in local search, with a range of tools and features including local rank tracking and auditing, review management, citation building, and more. They also have a wealth of free courses in their academy to help you learn and develop your skills to succeed in local SEO. SEO Mindset podcast listeners can take advantage of an exclusive offer. Sign up for a free 14-day Bright Local trial at theseomindset.co.uk/brightlocal and receive $75 in citation builder credits when you go on to take up a subscription at the end of your trial. That link is also in the show notes. T's and C's and further information at theseomindset.co.uk/brightlocal.
So, welcome back everyone. And Sarah, what have your thoughts been on the topic so far?
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I've got over my beef with the word entrepreneur.
You've noticed I haven't said it many times.
Do you know what I mean though? Like it's similar to the word guru. How I
Yeah.
feel like how there's loads of gurus out and
Yeah.
about and stuff, and it's just like caveat, it's a very valid word and it means something, but I think because like it got battered about, like, so I've got over that. But yeah, no, I love this because it's about your mindset, isn't it? And like adopting the right mindset, and definitely because there's lots of us who think, oh, I really want to learn, and like there's loads of businesses that have said, right, like we'll support you and stuff like that, but then time is just never made. So I think actually blocking out, and you could even like call it like school time, college sesh, do you know what I mean? Like actually blocking out time to do it is important.
And for me, it is urging people, take control of your own career. It's your career. It's such a big part of your life. And why shouldn't you have the one you want?
Yes.
Rather than drifting from one thing to another, drifting from one manager to another, drifting from one task to another. If you're not enjoying it, think about what you would enjoy.
100%.
So my next tip is to get support or guidance from someone. And this typically, people will say get a mentor. And some people will say get a coach, and they're not the same things. Some mentors will be able to coach you. Some coaches might be able to mentor you. But in the true sense, like ICF coaches, we're not meant to give advice. Because the idea is that the coachee knows what's right for their lives, for their careers. So you can ask questions, and they'll be very probing questions. But under my guidelines, I'm not in a coaching environment. I'm not allowed to say, oh, why don't you go and do that course? It's not okay. It's not ethical.
100%. No, that's, I mean, fair enough.
So what would, what a coach would be able to do if that person is where you want to be and 5 steps ahead, you can then ask them, how did you get there? Who's a good person to speak to? What should I read? What should I learn? What sort of learning opportunities and other opportunities should I take? And they're going to be really good at that. A coach is going to be able to help you when you know what you've got to do, but for example, you're not doing it. There is something getting in the way between you and taking that step.
So the kick up the bum is what we're saying.
It's so if
a nice kick up the bum.
It's a challenging question. So what's stopping you taking that? What would help you to make that step easier?
Yes.
And that's going to help you with your mindset issues, confidence, self-esteem, self-regulating in terms of your time management. Whatever it is, they're going to help you get through that. So pick. Maybe you might need one of both, one of each.
Yeah. And just to chip in, so lots of people that I know who have had a mentor or a coach have always said they wish they got them sooner.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who put it off, and it just so happens that we also we've covered so many topics, Tazmin. We've got a whole episode about mentorship and the differences and stuff between coaches and mentorship and things. But and something else to point out as well is the women in tech community.
Yes.
They have many initiatives. It's a wonderful community. Most of our listeners will be aware, but if you're not aware of the Women in Tech SEO community, it's a wonderful community. And one of their initiatives out of the many is they offer mentorship programs. So, yes.
And I think a lot of... many people that I talk to seem to think that you get a coach when you're broken, almost associating coaching with therapy. And it's different because with therapy, you are talking about the past and what happened and how it impacted you. Obviously, it's huger than that, but in general. With a coach, if you've got an issue that you don't want, I help you get to where you do want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I either help you get rid of a pain that you don't want, or help you get to where you want to be. It's very much about moving forward. We may touch on a little bit about why you think that's blocking you, but by and large, it is about moving forward. So that's, for me, I've had the most growth in my life when I've had a coach.
Yes.
Every single time.
100%.
So get the right people on your team. And again, thinking of it as a business, you wouldn't be running it on your own. You would have a team of people. So get the right people in, and then create a plan of how are you going to get from where you are to where you want to be. So you know what you've got to learn. You've got the people who are going to help you with advice. You're going to talk to your manager. You're going to look for those opportunities, but think about what tactics are going to help you. So we talked about it before the break, where you were saying you want to learn this. You talked about working out how long it's going to take. What are the basics going to be? What are the nice to haves going to be?
Yeah.
Can you have a buddy that's going to help you keep motivated and keep each other accountable? So have a plan, because if you say, "Oh, I want to learn this thing. I want a job in that place, or I want a role that looks like this. I want a leadership role." What does somebody in that role look like? What do they do?
Yeah.
You may not even go and talk to them, but have some role models in your mind. What sort of things do they say? How do they carry themselves? What sort of opportunities are they taking?
Yeah.
Because if you do all the things that they do, you'll probably get to be where they are.
Yes. I mean, that's sensible, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a sensible assumption.
And the last part is the importance of consistency. And we've talked about this before on the podcast. Everyone wants to, not everyone, but most people wait till they feel like doing something. They feel motivated. They're in the mood to learn. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't. You've got to be consistent. You will not be motivated every single day to learn the thing that you want to learn. So put your head down. And one thing is, never have a 0 day. Never have a day where you're not moving forward even a smidge.
Yes, yeah. Like, so for example, if you're really not in a headspace to learn, like, is there something that you can at least do for, 5 minutes? Or like something that takes you a step further, like researching books that you want to read, or because we all have those days, don't we? So as long as we're doing something to move the needle, that's great marketing spiel, isn't it? We need to move that needle. So
or another good one is to reach out to somebody. So supposing you have a list of people you want to reach out to, and they're going to be able to give you either some advice or some information that's going to really move you forward. If you've only got 5 minutes, send that email. Because what that's going to do is it's going to kickstart something.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
I've been reading and implementing this book called The 12-Week Year. I think you and I have talked about it.
Okay.
So what the author is saying, if you have something that is one of your year goals, so supposing this time next year I'm going to be in this position. A year is a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And you can put it off and put it off and put it off. And studies have shown that when somebody's got a goal for a year, they actually kickstart a lot of it in September, because now they think they're running out of time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So what he suggests is have a 12-week year. So have 12 weeks.
Yes.
Then a week break, then another 12, then a week break. And in that so I'm doing this right now with a group. So we've got this accountability group, and I also run this for my clients. So the idea is you set your goal, and say it's a fitness goal. So I want to get fitter. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's quite
Vague.
big.
Yeah.
Quite vague, yeah.
So it says, okay, what are the tactics that you're going to have to do to get fitter? So it's not about, I'm going to lose this many kilograms, or I'm going to do this. So it could be tactic number 1, I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water a day. So you have that listed. You say how many glasses of water you're going to drink. And it's all on a spreadsheet. And on the other side, when you drink on Monday 8 glasses of water, you put in 8. On Tuesday, it may be 7. So on and so forth. Another tactic may be, I will walk 5,000 steps a day. I will go to the gym 3 times a week. And you list out the tactics that are going to get you to your goal, but then you concentrate on the tactics.
Okay, rather than, yeah. And I suppose as well with the tactics, make them realistic as well. Yeah. So, for example, with the gym one, if you're not going to the gym at all at the moment, even if you said, I'm going to try and go to the gym once a week or like once a month, I think that's probably important as well, isn't it? Like being realistic, like no high fancy, anything that's unrealistic or anything that's going to be hard for you to reach or do.
And then another tactic could be, I'm going to drink, have 8 pieces of fruit and veg a day, or 5 pieces, whatever you want to do.
8? That's a lot, isn't it?
You're meant to have 10. Sukaina, who's on the podcast, she was telling me off air that, people say 5. Actually, it should be 10, but because nobody's, not many people are even having 5, the government don't want to go around and say, you should be 10, you should be 10.
That's interesting.
But with this method, you plug in your numbers and you've got a percentage score at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And then you do it again and again and again for 12 weeks, and then you've got your overall percentage for the 12 weeks. I'm finding, so there's pros and cons. It's keeping me focused. It's visible, so it's on my laptop all the time, and it's making me do the stuff. But I'm now in week 8, because we started a bit strangely, but I'm in week 8, and I put on the group that it's very easy to become a slave to the list and not notice other things that are going on, other opportunities that are presenting themselves. So I've sorry about that. I've now shared that information with my clients, who have also said, yes, they've been finding that it's really good to focus you, but you can become a bit of a slave. But whatever your choice of planning and accountability is, definitely put something in place.
Lovely. Wow. This has been a wonderful episode, Tazmin. Thank you very much.
What's your main takeaway from that?
I mean, there's so much, isn't there? There's so much. Obviously, the importance of mindset and thinking of yourself as an entrepreneur. Yeah. The actually putting time aside to learn, because that's to grow, to develop, we need to learn, right? Yeah. And then accountability, that was another good one for me as well. I mean, there's a lot, I'd happily list everything that you've talked about. But those were my key ones, I would say.
If I were to leave the listeners with anything, it would be ownership. Yeah. Take ownership. It's your career.
And you work something stupid like so many hours in your lifetime. It's a crazy amount. So take ownership. Like, don't leave it up to your boss, your work. Like, you need to. Yeah. You need to. Love it.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Sorry, you were going to say something else?
No, and you know what? I think most managers, most organizations would actually take more notice of you if you said, look, this is how I want my career to be shaped. These are my thoughts.
Yeah. And they'll be able to take you more seriously as well, right? Yeah. And like, they'll be like, right, this person knows what they want, this is what they want to achieve, and this is how we can help them.
Yeah, perfect.
So wonderful. Right, so before we do our usual wrap up, so I reckon we read a email that we received to the podcast. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
So like it's great to receive like feedback from our listeners, like messages. That's always nice, isn't it? And me and Tazmin are going to get into a better habit of sharing it with you all. So this is from a Ben. So thank you very much, Ben, who got in touch with us over the emails. And they said, I recently listened to your Having Flexibility and Adaptability podcast episode. It was incredibly helpful. I've just started in the SEO industry and have been feeling overwhelmed and doubting my ability. I listened to your podcast on a day where I was dealing with certain obstacles. It really helped me to take a step back and assess the situation and adapt the problems that had arisen. Thank you very much. Love the podcast, and I've added it to my favourites.
How wonderful. Oh, that's brilliant.
Thank you very much, Benjamin.
Thank you. Wonderfully. I'll get my words out. We're very happy to be able to help. That's what I was trying to say.
Of course. So yes, if you want to reach out to us, obviously, you can do that in loads of ways. Like, we're on the socials. Search the SEO Mindset, Tazmin Sullivan, Sarah McDowell, you'll find us. Email, because obviously that one came through email. So our email address is, I do apologise if people can hear barking. I think our Tesco delivery has finally turned up and Benjamin the dog is letting us know. Our email address is the SEO Mindset podcast at gmail.com. So let us know. Reach out to us, say hi. Wunderbar. Right, so usual sign off then. If you like what me and Tazmin do, you can support us in many different ways. For example, we're on Buy Me a Coffee. Link is in our show notes, but you can give us a one-off donation. So that would be very appreciative. And yes, we said that new to season 5 is our newsletter. So you can sign up. Get updates about what me and Tazmin in the podcast are up to. You can unsubscribe at any time, and we promise we'll never spam you. Yes, Benny the dog is going for it, so I do apologise if you can hear. Can you hear, Tazmin?
I can definitely hear Benny the dog.
Well, there we go. Some lovely background noise. And on that note, I best go and get my frozen stuff from the Tesco people, shouldn't I?
Very, very much so.
Right. Thank you very much, Tazmin.
Take care.